Good morning, everyone. A few weeks ago, my family had a new addition. We adopted a new dog. She's a pet rescue dog. She was abandoned at the age of 8. I don't know why people do such things, but she's hit the jackpot. I think she's now part of the member of Higgins family. But I'm not the only one who acquired a dog. I met a gentleman called Idan, whose face I saw on a table, a long table in Tel Aviv Square, Hostage Square it's called. And I was drawn to him because he wasn't looking at the camera, he was gazing lovingly at his new pet dog. He just acquired a puppy, and she had a beautiful red ribbon around her neck. Right now, Idan is somewhere, he's a 28-year-old gentleman, he's somewhere in the tunnels in Gaza, deprived of the warmth of his family, deprived of his mother's cooking, and deprived of the unconditional love of his dog, who's no doubt sitting at the door or at the gate waiting for him to come home. What Idan is not deprived of, though, is the strength of his nation. He is not deprived of the love of his people and the love of the allies of Israel, who number the millions, I assure you, both here in Australia and overseas. I also had the privilege of meeting Eli and Daniel, 2 IDF soldiers. They were great. I asked them, how are you feeling? What's morale like? And they said, morale is great, it's high. And as I looked around, I could see a food truck someone had driven up, was feeding the troops. There was a man who was pulling a trailer of washing machines to wash their clothing. There was someone else who was handing out free underwear. There was an upsurge of civic duty, a strengthening of civic bonds. So while the terrorists tried to break the spirit of Israel, in fact the reverse has happened. When I went in July, I saw a country divided. I returned, and I think I am the only MP that has been to Israel twice now in 6 months. I returned a month ago, and I saw a country as united as it could ever be. I went to Kfar Aza, and I walked through the kibbutz, and I saw a level of destruction and depravity that I can't even convey. I saw things that I've seen things, I've heard things, I've smelled things that are imprinted on me, that will never leave me. I also saw Gaza, and I saw the haze of the smoke, and I saw the plumes of the bombs, and I heard the rat-a-tat-tat of a gunship. I've never heard bombs go off in my life, and every time it went off, I shuddered. I shuddered for the people who are in Gaza, the Palestinians who have paid a great price for this. I think we can safely conclude that the Hamas experiment, which has been going on for now over 40 years, nearly 2 generations, has been a complete failure. These people have been betrayed, sold a pup, as we say in Australia. The Palestinians also deserve a much better future than they have currently got, and they are suffering in the way Israelis are also suffering. I pray for the IDF that they can complete this mission and that Israel holds its nerve, even in the face of overwhelming criticism. And the reason being is that if you think that Gazans and Israelis are suffering now and too many children have died, then leaving a terrorist organization in place will only condemn future children to the same fate. The cycle of violence will never end. I also met Shelley, a lovely lady with a beautiful smile who was a refugee from Sderot, who I met in a hotel. And I went into this hotel and it was just pandemonium. There were children everywhere. And I knew straight away that these were the refugees. And she grabbed me. It's the last day of Hanukkah, and she showed off her menorah, and I gave her a hug. And everywhere I went in Israel, people were so grateful. They were so happy. They were so warm and pleased to see me. But I also saw anguish. I saw anguish on the faces, particularly of leaders. The mayor of Sderot, we met, he just could not crack a smile, even though Benny Gantz, who we met briefly, did. The mayor just couldn't. Too much pain. I met members of the Knesset who also were just anguished. There is a deep moral burden that comes with leadership and making difficult choices. But these choices have to be made. But on the faces of everyone else, I saw resolve. I saw determination. And what gives me hope, in fact, are people like Hashem, a Palestinian who I bought gifts from in the old city of Jerusalem for Christmas for my children. And he looked at me and he said, Michelle, go back to Australia and tell everyone that Palestinians and Jews can live together.
Yes.
They can indeed. We need a road out of this. And that road is not going to be lined with ideology and hate. That road will be lined with education and economics. And that's what we need to work towards. That's the new dawn that we need to really demand from leaders, because the status quo is failing everyone. Finally, I'd like to end with some words that I remember from an article I read in the New York Times of a hostage from Kfar Aza, a woman called Chen Goldstein Almog, who was released in that first batch with her 3 children. She lost her husband and her oldest daughter. And she befriended, I guess, her captors, and they struck up a conversation. And on the day she left, the lead captor said to her, and this is telling, don't live so close to the border. Move away, move to Tel Aviv, because we will come back. And she turned to him and she said, when you come back, don't throw a grenade, just knock on the door. Thank you, everyone.